Good morning. Second talk of the month for the theme, A World That Works for Everyone. So last week we discussed if we truly want a world that works for everyone, we have to work it, right? We need to be the change that the world is calling us to be. We need to do something. Each one of us has a role in creating a world that works for everyone. Each one of us has a part to play. You know, I look at it this way. Spirit created 7.5 billion of us for a reason. And each and every one of us is integral to the whole picture because we are the place where Spirit shows up. You know, last week I talked about the mission and the vision and the purpose statements of Centers for Spiritual Living, and I said that if you go on their website, well, if you go on their website, you can't find it, which is weird. But anyway, it's supposed to be there. Their mission statement and vision and purpose are all in alignment. And last week I had referred to it, and their vision statement is to provide a world that works for everyone. And that's a lovely sentiment, and it's part of a greater document that CSL came up with called the Global Heart Vision. And if you go on csl.org website, you won't find that document either. I don't know why. But it was a beautiful, beautiful document. Maybe we should put it on our website. Can we do that? Let's put it on our website. Because this is the Global Heart Vision. Now, this is what CSL has joined together in agreement on. We envision the emergence of the global heart to balance and guide our evolution as stewards of the planet and all its inhabitants. We see a world free of homelessness, violence, war, hunger, separation, and disenfranchisement. We see a world in which there is continuous and generous sharing of heart and resources, a world in which forgiveness, whether for errors, injustices, or deaths, is the norm. A world in which borders are irrelevant. A world which has renewed its emphasis on beauty, nature, and love through a resurgence of creativity, art, and aesthetics. A world in which fellowship prospers and connects through guidance of spiritual wisdom and experience. A world in which we live and grow as one global family that respects and honors the interconnectedness of all life. We envision Centers for Spiritual Living as a bridge across the illness and illusion of separation, thereby dramatically empowering the vision of the global heart. The spiritual community of Centers for Spiritual Living is united and actuated by this compelling vision of a healthy world, a world experiencing the global heart, and is ardently committed to bringing this vision forth through its ministries and its transformative teaching. Centers for Spiritual Living is a it's a community of inspired individuals caring for and about each other and the entire planetary family, thereby bringing the gift of active compassion and kindness to the world and causing us to be the point of inspiration and influence to benefit all expressions of life. Isn't that lovely? Isn't that beautiful? That's the world I want to live in. You know, that is a poetic and beautiful world that I want to live in. And if you look at the conditions around us, that's not quite the world we have yet. I think that a world that works for everyone is something we aspire to. But right now, I don't see it demonstrating, or I see pockets of it. But isn't there more work for us to do? Right? I mean, there's more work for us to do because conditions don't reflect that, yes. I know that is the truth of us. And, you know, and I know that there are some people in our philosophy that will say, well, we're already living in a world that works for everyone. It works for everyone according to their level of consciousness. Ow. That's not a very loving way to put things. You know, I mean, these are the same people that say to you, well, what were you thinking that you got the flu? You know, it's like blaming the person for their own consciousness, and that's just stupid, and those people are idiots. Don't listen to them. Sorry. Well, you know, look, Ernest Holmes used to call them morons, so I think that's a little better. But we don't really have a world that works for everyone if everyone's not having a lovely world. You know, we have a world that works for everyone if no one's hungry, if no one's homeless, and no one's suffering. Then we have a world that works for everyone. But right now, that's not what's out picturing. So there is work to do. And I know, on some cosmic level, what we always say, the world is the outpicturing of your consciousness. The world, your experience, your context and your perception of the world is your creation. And I get that. But it does not help anyone when they're in a situation that's challenging or suffering to say, well, you chose that. How does that help anyone? It doesn't. And I understand that on some cosmic level, yes, the law is always working in our lives. The law of cause and effect, the law of receptivity. I get it that it's always working. We say that the world is the outpicturing of our level of consciousness. But we don't help anybody by blaming them. In fact, what we're doing is we're sending them right back to that kingdom one consciousness of, oh my God, what have I done to create this? And we're blaming the victim, basically. And we know that there is no such thing. We know that there's no such thing as that. And yet, when we say things like, well, what were you thinking that manifested that? That's exactly what we're doing. That does not add one positive thing to the condition. All it does is it gives people a reason not to participate in improving things. That doesn't make you a good religious scientist. It makes you a Pharisee. When those people crossed the street so that they wouldn't touch the guy who was beat up and bloody by the side of the road because it wasn't their job. Their job was just to pray. And you hear that sometimes in our teaching. Well, I'll just pray. Well, I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to pray. And don't get me wrong. Ernest Holmes said, the most powerful place you can find yourself is at prayer. Absolutely. We have a sign. Prayer changes things. It does. But sometimes what it does is it inspires us to take action. And Ernest Holmes said, treat and move your feet. Pray and then do something. Pray for clarity. Pray for the next step. Pray for the open door. Pray for the idea of what to do next, and then do it. The global heart vision is an inspiring, poetic vision of what can be. And it draws us in to move our feet. It's dwelling in the possibility and the potential. And then it's up to us to do something, to make a step toward that, to in some little tiny way, get those little penguin steps going and move one step closer to what that poetic ideal is. We hold the vision of that global heart. We hold the vision in our minds as the ideal, the intention. We empower that vision. We work toward that vision. We begin to demonstrate that vision. First in little ways and little deeds and little things that we can do. And we transform not the whole world, we transform our little corner of it. That's what we do. We transform our little part of it. That's what we're here for. That's the meaning of our lives. That's why there's 7.5 billion of us. Because we don't need one person to transform the world. We need 7.5 billion people to transform their little part of it. That's what we need. We're here to make the place a little better than when we found it. And so we have work to do. Serve, love, pray, act. And so this talk today, this talk all in, is first a question. Are you all in? Are you all in? Are you showing up and doing your part? Are you part of the solution? Are you making things a little better for your life and for the life of others? Are you in service to humanity? Have you made the decision to be the change you wish to see in the world? There's a quote that I go back to that's often attributed to, and I'm going to get this wrong, often contributed to Goethe. You know what? You know the German philosopher. I was born and raised in New York, and in New York it's Goethe. So deal with it. Anyway, the fact is he didn't say it. It's attributed to him. But it really came from the Scottish Himalayan expedition, and it was written by W.H. Murray. And you know the quote. I know you're familiar with it. It's that one that says, until one is fully committed, yada, yada, nothing happens. Okay. I wanted to read the beginning of that quote. There was something before that because it's so interesting. It's so much the science of mind philosophy. The beginning of it goes like this. When I said nothing had been done, I erred in one important matter. We had definitely committed ourselves and were halfway out of our rut. I love that. We put down our passage money. We booked a sailing to Bombay. Now, this may sound too simple, but it is great in consequence. Until one is committed, there is hesitancy, a chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. Concerning all acts of initiative and creation, there is one elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans. That the moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. A whole stream of events issues from that decision, raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidents, meetings, and material assistance, which no man could have dreamt would come his way. The beginning of that quote is wonderful in that idea that just the decision-making itself has power. Just making that decision, just committing to making the decision to do has power in it. And that's what I mean by all in. Making the decision to make a difference. That is power in and of itself. Making the decision to decide to do something has power in and of itself. The moment one definitely commits oneself. So what are you committing to? Are you all in? Are you part of the change? Are you that growing center of peace that we talk about? Because when we do that, heaven and earth moves to support us. Right? He says, and providence moves too. That means things around us change to reflect the fact that we have committed. We're not just sitting there going, well, whatever happens, happens. I'll leave it up to God. Whatever. I don't know what God's plan is for me, blah, blah, blah. No. God's plan is your plan. Your plan is God's plan. When you say this is it, the universe says, okay, this is it. But we have to commit. We have to fully commit to whatever part we're playing. And a little part is the same as a big part. There is no big and little in God. So what is our role? What is your passion? What is the gift that you've come to give the world that nobody else can do? There's 7.5 billion of us here, but you're here for yours. You're here to provide your gift. I'm here to provide mine. When we decide what that is and we jump in, providence moves to support us. Things change. Doors open. Coincidences happen. Because we're on our path, because we're following our passion, because we're doing the work. Ernest Holmes said, we must not be lukewarm in our conviction. We must know that we know. We must know that we know. Being all in is about stepping up, being our bigger self, and doing the thing we know we desire. Sounds simple enough, right? Just go for it. Just do it. We hear that all the time. So what keeps us from throwing ourselves into life with total abandon? What keeps us from doing that? What keeps us from going all in? We have some hold cards, We're not going to play them all. We hold back. Why? What's the point, I think sometimes we hold back, we keep from going all in because of that Kingdom One consciousness. Because sometimes we feel like we are at the effect of the world. We feel ineffectual. That Kingdom One says to us, we're the victims. That life is happening to us. We have no control. We have no control over our life or the things that happen to us. That is the victim stage, where life is just steamrolling over us. And we don't have any ability to change it. We can't do a thing about it. And it is not the truth of us, but it's our temporary perception of reality. or this happened, or that happened, or I lost my job, or I lost my car, or I lost my spouse, or I got a divorce, or whatever. All of these things happen to us, and we get that feeling that, oh my God, we're at the effect of the world. We have no power. It is not the truth of us. Truth with a capital T. It's a condition. It's a condition. It's an event. It's something that happened, but it's not the truth of us. But it may be enough to stop us in our tracks. And maybe it stops us in our tracks because maybe we were born and raised in a philosophy that said, you sinner, you. If you've been born and raised in one of those where you're not good enough, you're never going to be good enough, and then they put this guy up on a whatever, and they say, well, here's the perfect guy, but you can't be that anyway because you're a sinner, but this is what you need to aspire to, but it'll never happen. How are you going to win at that game? There's no way to win at that game. So you grow up and you're always less than. You're never good enough. There's always that thing where, I deserve this because I'm not good enough. Or maybe you had a grown-up in your life who had a judgment over top of you. Maybe the big people in your life when you were little, put a judgment over top of you, and you just kind of rose to that and no further because of that judgment that held you back. Because, when you're little, the big people know everything. You know how they know everything. And when the big people around you when you're little say, oh, this is my athlete, and this is my bookworm, and oh, this one, this one's going to work at McDonald's saying, do you want fries with that when he grows up? When you have that kind of mentality on top of you, you feel that I'm not good enough. I'm not going to make it. I don't have control over my life. So then what happens? It's just a perception. It is not the truth of us. It's not the truth of us. And at some point, we come to a teaching like this. At some point, we stumble into new thought, or we find a teaching, and we begin to doubt the stories we've been told. We begin to doubt the stories we've been told, and the little cracks show up in our self-condemnation, in our self-doubt, in our fear. Little tiny cracks, and then the sunshine shines. And we start to doubt, and then we start to embrace a greater truth about ourselves. First, we fear and doubt what we can do, if we can do it. But we find a place like Vision, yay, and we come here, and we hear that empowering message, and we know the truth of ourselves. We begin to hear it at a different level. That seed of perfection that Emerson writes about. There's a seed of perfection nestled within each one of us. And we continue to hear over and over again these messages empowering humanity to understand its magnificence. That's the truth of us. And we start to really let that in on a deeper level. We begin to start using the tools that we're given here. Meditation, affirmation, affirmative prayer, reading transformational material that breaks down the self-doubt and breaks down the false ideas, the false beliefs of our helplessness and our hopelessness. We remember who we are. We remember. You're given the tools here to remember the truth. We say transformation, right? We transform our lives, but it's not really a transformation. What it is a letting out of what's there all along. We're releasing the truth of ourselves. We're releasing our inner magnificence. We're letting that God self out, the thing that's been there all along. We're breaking down the false ideas, the things that were covering us over, those judgments that were placed on us. We're breaking through all of that, and we're letting our inner light shine. We're becoming aware of that beauty, that seed of perfection that's within us, that truth of who we are, our human magnificence. So what if the conditions of the world, what is it that's an old expression about? The conditions of the world tried to bury us, that they didn't know we were seeds. Isn't that a wonderful thing? Yeah, try to bury me. You don't know I'm a seed. Ha ha, you lose. And we sprout up, don't we? Absolutely. Because we begin to believe that seed of perfection within us. We come to rely on that power greater than us. And we let it out, and conditions begin to change. And we do move from Kingdom 1 consciousness, from that victim consciousness. And we move into Kingdom 2. But in order to do that, we have to give up shame and blame. We have to give up shame and blame. And we do that by giving up our own shame and blame. It's not what other people have done to us. It's the fact that we took it on ourselves. We took it on. And so we give up shame and blame. We move into kingdom 2 consciousness. We begin to manifest things what we want instead of things we don't want. And things start happening, and things start changing. The conditions around us begin to change because we have up-leveled our consciousness. Ernest Holmes said this. He said, the person who can throw himself with complete abandon into the limitless sea of receptivity, having cut loose from all apparent moorings, is the one who will always receive the greatest reward. And that's what we're here to do. Throw off the lines, get rid of the hold cards, the safety net, and to throw ourselves with complete abandon into that sea of receptivity. So then we start demonstrating all sorts of things. We're in kingdom 2, baby. This is the world done by us. And we are getting jobs, and we're getting the love of our life, and we're finding Mr. Right, or at least Mr. Right now, who knows. We're finding houses, we're getting cars. Things are working. Things are working. And yet, Spirit whispers in our ear, there is more to do. There is more to you. There is more to you than stuff. And that gentle whisper that we begin to understand that there is a greater contribution. There are greater things for us to do. And we start to look out on a world that clearly is not working for everyone. And we decide to be of service. And that's kingdom 3. Where we just allow Spirit to flow through us in the world and making a difference to somebody, anybody, other people. Not my will, but thy will be done. We just are those open and clear vessels to do in the world what Spirit calls for us to do. Who am I to see? Where am I to go? Who am I to meet? What am I to say? You know, all of those things. We leave that up to Spirit. And we go and we do the work of Spirit. We understand that there is a bigger picture. We have a role to play. We have a contribution to make. We have a unique gift to give. And we start touching that. We start coming into contact with that. And that's kingdom 3. That there are greater things yet for us to do. And so we start to be of service. You know, the greatest cure for sadness is service. Right? The greatest cure for sadness is service. You got the blues, go feed somebody. You know, you got a pity party going, go volunteer at a homeless shelter. If you've got sadness happening, go do something in service to someone else. Wow, there's relief there and we feel 100% better. So go do something. And it's not about having to do everything. We get paralyzed because we look out at a world that may not be working for a lot of people, and we get paralyzed. We don't have to do it all. We have to just do our little teeny tiny part. We have a little teeny tiny part. We can change. What was it Mother Teresa said, you know, we don't do great things, we just do small things with great love. That's what we do. We just change our little part. Hey, look, we can't all be Oprah. We don't have to. There already is one, you know. We don't have to be the Pope or the President. Popra, I like that. Okay. We don't have to be that. They already have those roles handled. We need to find our role. What's our role in it? I'm here to change my little part of the world. And I can do that. And that's what being all in means. It means discovering our part. And our part's going to change from day to day. What are you being called on to do today? Don't do that. You know, what are you going to be called on to do tomorrow? Who knows? It can change. It's not like we were born with one and only thing to do in life, and then after you've done that, it's over. Then there's a new goal, and then there's a new goal, and then there's a new service, and then there's something greater for us to aspire to. It's just the journey that we're on. And isn't it great to be in that journey to make things better, just to make them a little better than when you found them? That's what being all in means. Ernest Holmes said this: there is a wellspring of life and perfection at the center of your being upon which you may draw. Every longing and every yearning you have ever had, every secret desire of your soul, every constructive ambition you have ever had is a whispering of life, assuring you that you are one with it. You are a concrete manifestation, a personification of it. You are a center where life passing through you becomes a definite, distinct, unique individualization of itself. There is no one else like you. in all the universe, and there never will be again. You're here for all of the big and little things you do. We are here for all of the people that we are going to serve. We are here to make a difference in the lives of the people around us, the ones whose lives we can make a difference in. And we are here to transform ourselves and those around us by our love and by our light. And that's what being all in is about. Are you all in? Are you all in? Louder. Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you.